Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, good morning everyone. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the Sankirtan mission, and all glories to the worldwide membership of the Prabhupada Disciples Association, Hare Krishna Society. And I wanted to remind everyone that we are present online at YouTube, Hare Krishna Society YouTube. We have over 260 broadcasts that we have accumulated over the last couple of years. And we encourage you to invite your friends to join us on YouTube and subscribe, please, to that channel. Along with your listening to the Prabhupada lectures that are available online, and attending the various online opportunities that we provide for people to get insight. Yes, insight into truth. And that's available on the Hare Krishna Society website online. And it's also available with our PDA group online, Facebook a group page. And we have, I'm happy to announce, 18,600 members of this group page, and it's expanding on an ongoing basis weekly. So we're heading for 20,000 members, and it is in a constant development, our Krishna conscious preaching. And we're designing a letterhead and a new broadcast titles programming view. The branch, we want to include our branch offices. Excuse me, please. Sorry about that. I just had a crowd come in here. So our branch offices are throughout the world, in Italy, in Montreal, in Sacramento, in Hamilton, Canada, and different areas of the world, Mexico. We're looking to include your names on our letterhead and also in our promotion of this show, this presentation, which provides people insight on how they can reach other people, say, for example, in Miami, different parts of the world, who to reach that's a member of this organization and is preaching the philosophy of Krishna consciousness without mental concoction and mental speculation, which is prominent throughout the world in the ISKCON group. And I wanted to read a post just quickly for you that I just put up. We're getting quite a response on the group page. On one of the posts, we have 7,300 views. Just one post that was put up 3 or 4 days ago. I just put up a new post, and within a few hours, we're already at 331 views. So it means it's reaching out virally to the worldwide community of devotees that are interested in truth. The sole responsibility of a disciple is to repeat what his spiritual master has taught us all. Sole responsibility. Mental concoction is not authorized as a method to teach new followers. In this ISKCON Mission 2024, this is the business of the elected gurus. Firstly, they are not authorized according to Shastra, but according to a concocted ISKCON law or rule of authorization. Secondly, they are sahajya, pretending to be on the Uttama Adhikari platform of realization and simply acting as Diksha Guru, actors. This is a very serious offense against Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya. It is called the mad elephant offense. Yes, and it destroys the plant of devotion. As Srila Prabhupada disciples, we must be careful to avoid their association. Dissenters in ISKCON are banished, defamed, and in some cases beaten, or as in the past, murdered. Yes, the ISKCON group of fake gurus is a dangerous lot, and we should avoid them for 1,008 reasons. The only quote by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, the only duty of the sadhus is to cut away all the accumulated wicked propensities of every individual. This alone is the causeless natural desire of all the sadhus. Worldly people possess a double nature. They express one kind of sentiment, but internally cherish a different purpose. Moreover, they want to advertise this duplicity as a mark of liberation or love of harmony. Those who are unwilling to show any duplicity wish to be frank and straightforward. Or in other words, to exercise ambiguously the function of the soul. Such really sincere persons are called sectarian and orthodox by those who practice duplicity. We will cultivate the society only of those who are straightforward. We will not keep company with any person who is not so. Not keep company. We must by all means avoid bad company. We are advised to keep a distance of 100 cubits from animals of the horned species. We should observe the same caution in regards to all insincere persons. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami, published in the Harmonists. So here is a direction from Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada for us, and it is very relevant in this current time and place. In history, this is a history. We have to be objective in terms of understanding the history of ISKCON, not subjective. People that are subjective are there for compromised reasons, pride, for position, and for recognition. These things are part of the material world and not part of the sampradaya of Lord Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada, or this mission of the Prabhupada Disciples Association. So I wanted to thank everyone further moving forward for your participation in the GoFundMe campaign that has been successful in raising funds for the reprinting of Prabhupada's original Srimad Bhagavatams that he brought to America in 1965. And we were just reading yesterday from the memories, the diaries of Srila Prabhupada and his pastimes, that he had sent a letter to Mangala Niloy Brahmachari, who was interested at one time in recruiting him to join him in New York City for some help, because he was by himself looking for some people to take up the mission. And for over a year, very little success. People were coming, giving 50 cents, giving $1 donation, buying a set of books out of charity for him. I don't know if they were reading them, but at any rate, eventually he started to get some results from his preaching work without giving up on his mission to please his spiritual master and carry out his orders. So this reprinting of the Bhagavatams is a very valuable service that all of you can participate in, yes, by donating some money to the publishing and printing of these unadulterated books. Yes, Lakshmi is a very valuable thing. We all know, because everyone hates to lose money. You know, I've lost millions of dollars in my life, actually. It's a tragedy in a sense, but in another sense, it's a blessing. You win and lose in life. But while we're alive, while we're active, while we can do things, take action. Do not procrastinate on this wonderful opportunity to be a part of this great opportunity to republish the Bhagavatams, the original Delhi Bhagavatams, working cooperatively with God brothers like we have assembled in this Krishna conscious effort, this mission to protect Prabhupada's legacy. Yes, this is an opportunity. It's not a demand. If people don't want to give money, we understand. Maybe they don't have it. Maybe they're not motivated. Maybe they can't see what we're doing. They don't have the capacity, or they're narcissistic or self-centered or selfish. Maybe those are the reasons. Whatever the reason, that's your business. But that is not our business. Our business is to work cooperatively with each other to serve the mission of protecting Prabhupada's legacy. That is our mission. Some people would say, well, Vishva, karma, why are you so serious? Well, is the material world a fun place here, Vijaya Pandit? Is it? Are you having fun here? There's no fun in this material world. This place is a place of misery, of complete misery. And if we think it isn't, that's our illusion. There is no happiness in this material world. A perception of sense enjoyment, that's it. But happiness, no, does not exist. Birth, death, disease, and old age do exist. Oh yeah, hankering, lamenting do exist. Oh yes. But does happiness exist? Not on the material platform. That is an illusion. Transcendental devotional service can give us a taste of happiness, and by participating in this mission as a cooperative group of devotees, we will find some peace and happiness in this service. So thank you very much, everyone. We'll move forward. I wanted to read one letter from Prabhupada, one section from the diary. We're in the memorandum section, and it's an excerpt from a letter to Madhav Maharaj dated August 1st, 1966. Thank you. I have therefore very recently incorporated one organization, very recently with a fortnight past, under the name of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, incorporated in the USA. So he's sending it back to India to see how his godbrothers react to his success. The trustee of this organization are all American gentlemen headed by one of the leading lawyers of New York, Mr. Stephen J. Goldsmith, Bachelor of Science, MABL, who comes regularly in my weekly classes and chants the Maha Mantra very devoutly. Now, the chants for preaching the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Western countries like America and Europe is practically established, and if the organization is properly managed, I am sure there will be no dearth of financial facilities from the American citizens, properly managed. But I think this organization should have cooperation from all countries of the world, especially of India, and more specifically from the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, who are pledged to take the responsibility of preaching Chaitanya cult in every village and town of the world. Now, I wanted to clarify here, cult means, by definition, a group of beliefs followed by individuals that are members. It is not a derogatory term like brainwashing. This came about with the introduction of the cult crusade by these different people in America. From the Gaudiya Math, who are pledged to take the responsibility of preaching Chaitanya cult in every town and village of the world. I'm therefore inviting the first cooperation from my godbrothers in this great adventure. I'm very much hopeful of success of the attempt, and I'm seeking your good consultation if it is possible to have full sympathetic cooperation of my godbrothers in India in this adventure. Srimad Brahmacharya Mangala Niloy has already agreed to come here to assist me fully, but I wish that each and every one of the different Gaudiya Math organizations may kindly send one person respectively to work under my direction in these foreign countries and thus become individually a member of the international organization above mentioned. The qualification of such intending candidates must be that they must be able to speak in English and be well-versed playing khol or singing. If one is qualified with the above qualifications, it is very good. Otherwise, he must be qualified at least of one of them. So far, they're coming where I shall take all responsibility for passage and maintenance. Would kindly consider this proposal immediately and let me know your decision per return of post. So, very interesting letter from Prabhupada to his godbrothers. And we at the Prabhupada Disciples Association Vijaya Pandit are requesting the same thing from our global network. Let us work together as one unit to push on this Sankirtan mission of Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya. So we'll continue on with the reading tomorrow, or on Wednesday, I should say. Thank you very much, everyone. Let's move forward with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava, and then the reading and discussion with Yashodanandana Prabhu, who's in the sunny mountains with a lost phone, in the sunny mountains of California. Hare Krishna.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Muspa Paramahansa Paribhrajagacharya Sattvaresvara Samadhati Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Bhagavad Ki Jai Ananta Kodi Vaishnavindra Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Mokh Gopinath Sam Khand Radha Khand Giridhar Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai की जाए जमुना माई की जाए गुरु द्वारका धाम की जाए स्वामी तो भक्तविंद की जाए और ग्लोरी टू जस्ट और ग्लोरी टू जस्ट थैंक यू वेरी मच
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Narayanam namaskritya Narayanam namaskritya Naram cheva narottamam Naram cheva narottamam Devim saraswatim vyasam Devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat tato jayam mudhirayat. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyāsadeva, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam 1 to 4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam. Very important discussion initiated by Vishwakarma Prabhu. Today, as we do every week, we will be reading a few selected verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam itself, explaining the meaning and the benefit of hearing this great, powerful, transcendental literature. So if somebody can display the topics there, here we go. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam 1-16. Shushrushuho Shraddadhanasya Vasudeva Kataruchihi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat. O the twice-born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all ranges of vice, a standard of great service is done, and as the result of such great service, affinity in the messages of Vasudeva is made possible. Text number 17. Shrinvatam svakataha Krishna punyasravana kirtana hridyantasto hyabadrani vidunoti suritsatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is also the Paramatma in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, does cleanse the desire for material enjoyment in the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge for hearing his, Krishna's messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Text number 18. Nashta prayeshu vabhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in the Bhagavatam class or rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is inauspicious in the heart of a candidate becomes destroyed almost to nil, and thus loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, comes into being an irrevocable fact. Text 19. Tadarajastamo bhava kamalo bhadayaschaye Chitayetera viddam stitam sattve prasidati. As soon as irrevocable loving service is fixed up in one's heart, at that time the effects of the natures, mode of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankerings, do disappear from one's heart, and he becomes fixed up in the mode of goodness, which makes him completely happy. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. Thus, when one is positively fixed up in a mode of unalloyed goodness, the enlivened-minded man affected by contact of devotional service of the Lord can positively know scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Thanks everyone who is joining us for our weekly discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam and our readings. This is a very important part of our sadhana, and we appreciate everybody's participation as we do every week. We will be reading a few select verses from the Gaudiya Kanta R, which was commissioned by His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and this was divided into 20 chapters. Chapter number 2 is called Bhagavata Tattva, the Bhagavata Principles, which is a selection of various verses describing the glory of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is very, very important. We will be reading from 2.25, the inconceivable nature of Bhagavatam. Mahachintya Bhagavata Sarava Shastragai Iyanabhujye Vidyatapa Pratistai. This is from Chaitanya Bhagavata Madhya Kanda, chapter 22, text 13-14. Mahachintya Bhagavata Sarva Shastragai Iyana Bhuji Vidyatapat Pratishtai Bhagavata Bhujite Heno Hyara Chignan Sena Jane Kabu Bhagavatera Praman. According to all the revealed scriptures, the Srimad Bhagavatam is inconceivable beyond mundane understanding. Its meaning cannot be understood either by scholarship or penance. One who is not a devotee of Krishna, no matter how great a scholar he may be, will never understand Srimad Bhagavatam. 226. This is from Chaitanya Bhagavata Madhya Lila, chapter 2, text 25. Bhagavati achintya ishwar buddhiyar si janaye bhagavata artha bhakti sar. Srimad Bhagavatam as inconceivable knowledge about the Supreme Lord. One who knows this knows the Srimad Bhagavatam give the essence of devotion to Krishna. Thanks, everybody. This week we will be reading from Canto 1, Chapter 5, text number 14, the continuation of the description between Nārada Muni and Vyāsadeva. Text 14. All English synonyms, translations, and purports by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the current Acharya of the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Tatu anyata kinchana yadvichakshataha pritagdrishas tatkrita rupanamabihi nakarichit kvapi chatushtita matir labeta batahata nuriva aspadam. Tatu, from that. Anyata, apart. Kinchana, something. Yad, whatsoever. Vichakshataha, desiring to describe. Pritag, separately. Drishaha, vision. Tatkrita, reactionary to that. Rupa, form. Namabi, by names. Nakarichit, never. Kvapi, any. Cha, n. Dushita matir, oscillating mind. Labheta, gains. Batahata, troubled by the wind. Nor, boat. Iva, like. Aspadam, place. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Anything that you may have desired to describe under separate vision, apart from that of the Lord, will react in different forms and names and result in oscillating the mind like the boat disturbed by the wind, which cannot have any place to rest. Purport by His Divine Grace. Sri Vyāsadeva is the editor of all descriptions of the Vedic literature, and as such he has described transcendental realization in different ways, namely the way of fruitive activities, the way of speculative knowledge, the way of mystic power, and the way of devotional service. Besides that, in his various Puranas, he has recommended the worship of so many demigods in different forms and names. The result is that people in general are puzzled to fix up his mind in the service of the Lord. On the contrary, they are always disturbed to find out the real path of self-realization. Sri Nārada Deva is stressing on this particular defect of the Vedic literatures compiled by Vyāsadeva, and thus is trying to emphasize on the point of concentrating in the matter of describing everything in relation with the Supreme Lord and nobody else. In fact, there is nothing existent except the Lord. The Lord is manifested in different expansions. He is the root of the complete tree. He is the stomach of the complete body. As such, pouring of water on the root is the right process to water the tree, as much as feeding the stomach means to supply energy to all the parts of the body. As such, Srila Vyāsadeva should not have compiled any other Puranas than the Bhagavatam Purana, because a slight deviation from that may create a havoc in the matter of self-realization. A slight deviation can create such havoc, and what to speak of deliberate expansion of the separatist idea from the absolute truth, personality of Godhead. The most defective part of worshiping other demigods is that it creates a definite conception of pantheism, ending disastrously by products of many religious sects, detrimental to the progress of Bhagavatam principles, which alone can give the accurate direction for self-realization in eternal relation with the personality of Godhead by devotional service in transcendental love. The example of the boat disturbed by whirling wind is just suitable in this respect, and the diverted mind of the pantheist can never reach to the perfection of self-realization on account of disturbed condition of selection of object. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhakti Vedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Bhagavad Vandanam Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatehi Visheshatah Adadhanastrinam Danteridam Yache Punah Punah Srimadrupa Padam Bhoja Dhulisyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavatosmyaham Sadadaso Asmi Sarvata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prishta Shatkaromisvam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We see here that the discussions between Nārada Muni and Srila Vyāsadeva are dealing with a very important topic that Srila Prabhupada deals with many times in his writings and in his preaching. The idea that there should be sole focus on the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, to the exclusion of all other demigods. Now, many people, especially our good friends from Indian origin, they will object. Let me give an example. North of Toronto, there is a little city called Richmond Hill. And the Hindus over there in Canada have erected a very nice Hindu temple or Indian temple. And when I first went there many years back, They have a very beautiful deity of Balaji, that very famous deity in Tirupati in Andhra Pradesh. It's very impressive what they actually have done. The deity was made in India, obviously, sculpted. And it's a pretty opulent worship with priests from the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, all according to the agamas and everything. Then they also have different deities of different demigods, Lord Shiva, Lord Ganesh, Lakshmi. So the problem with all of that is that it's very common with many persons coming from that particular country to equate Krishna or Vishnu with the demigods. Some people will say, well, all the gods are the same. Well, they're not quite all the same. When we read Bhagavad Gita carefully, under the direction of a bona fide, realized, authorized acharya like Srila Prabhupada, we get the correct understanding of the position of Krishna and the demigods. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita declares himself, and anybody can check this, you don't have to believe me, especially those who come from that country. Look at chapter 7, text number 7 of the Bhagavad Gita. What does Lord Krishna say? I'm going to get my old Bhagavad Gita, and we'll read exactly what does Krishna say, because this is an extremely important point. Because unless somebody understands this point very carefully, there can be great havoc in one's spiritual life. The text reads, Matta parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya mayi sarvamidam proktam sutre manigana yiva. Proper translate, O conqueror of wealth, Arjuna, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. Prabhupada explains in the purport. There's a common controversy over whether the supreme absolute truth is personal or impersonal. As far as Bhagavad Gita is concerned, the absolute truth is the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, and this is confirmed in every step. In this verse in particular, it is stressed that the absolute truth is a person, that the personality of Godhead is the supreme absolute truth, is also the affirmation of the Brahma Samhita. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha. That is the supreme absolute personality of absolute truth, personality of Godhead, is Lord Krishna, who is the primeval Lord, the reservoir of all pleasure, Govinda, and the eternal form of complete bliss and knowledge. These authorities leave no doubt that the absolute truth is the supreme person, the cause of all causes. The impersonalist, however, argues on the strength of the Vedic version given in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Tato yaduttarataram tadarupamanamayam yadetad viruramritaste bhavanti atitare dukkamevapi yanti. In the material world, Brahma, the primeval living entity within the universe, is understood to be the supreme amongst the demigods, human beings, and lower animals. But beyond Brahma, there is the transcendence who has no material form and is freed from all material contaminations. Anyone who can know him also becomes transcendental, but those who do not know him suffer the miseries of the material world. It's very interesting when we go down a little further in the purport. Prabhupada is quoting from the Purusha Sukta, and he's explaining other verses in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad substantiate this as follows. Vedahametam Purushan Mahantam Aditya Varnam Tamasa Parastatam Tamevan Vidbhan Amritahi Abhavati Nanya Panta Vidyate Ayanaya Yasmat Param Na Param Api Kinchit Yasman Naniyo Najyayo Asti Kinchit. I know that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to all material conceptions of darkness. Only he who knows him can transcend the bonds of birth and death. There is no way for liberation other than this knowledge of that Supreme Person. There is no truth superior to that Supreme Person because he's the supermost. He's smaller than the smallest. He's greater than the greatest. He's situated as a silent tree and illumines the transcendental sky as the tree spreads its roots. He spreads his extensive energies. Prabhupada concludes, from these verses, one concludes that the Supreme, Absolute, Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is all-pervading by his multi-energies, both material and spiritual. Now, why are we reading this? Because it has to be clearly understood that Krishna is not impersonal, the Supreme Brahman is not impersonal, and also we see that in the same seventh chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, later on, Krishna very clearly explains the position of the demigods, the various devatas. Now we see in the Nectar of Devotion that Rupa Goswami advises one should not disrespect the demigods. Our philosophy is not to criticize the demigods or neglect the demigods or disrespect or offend the demigods. They are highly empowered agents of the Supreme Lord who are helping Krishna with various universal functions of management. But to equate these personalities with Krishna is a great mistake. And this is what Krishna, like Bhakta, our good friend from Germany, Bhakta Chevalier, has explained, that in the seventh chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna very nicely summarizes this whole issue. For example, in text 20, chapter 7, Kamesteste ritagyanaha prapadyante anya devataha tam tam niyamamastaya prakritya niyataha svaya. Oh, beautiful. We have the text. Thank you, Venkat or Rupesh. Those whose minds are distorted by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own nature. Now, it is very interesting. In the next text, Krishna explains what happens when people have this material desire to worship the demigods. Yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktaha shraddayarti temichati tasya chalam shraddam tameva vidadhamyaham. Prabhupada translates, I am in everyone's heart as the supersoul. As soon as one desires to worship the demigods, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to some particular deity. Then Krishna goes on, text number 22, endowed with such a fate, he seeks favors of a particular demigod, obtains his desires, but in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. So this is a very important point. Under the influence of Maya or illusion, somebody thinks that he is getting benefits from the demigod when the benefits are actually given by Krishna himself. But the result is, and this is the crux of this whole discussion, in text 23, Krishna explains, Antavat tufalam tesham tad bhavati alpabedasam devan devayajo yanti mad bhakta yanti mamapi. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. Now, this is very important, because what happens, we get persons of lesser intelligence who have been polluted by this Mayavadi philosophy, that's impersonalist philosophy, who equate Krishna with the different demigods. It is not the same. It is not the same. They give various examples, just like when the rivers go into the ocean, they all merge with the ocean. But our great acharyas like Madhvacharya and Vishwanath Chakrabarti, they have explained that even though the water seems to be merged, but still the molecules of the water remain separate. There is no merging with the absolute truth. And we see in the Srimad Bhagavatam itself that the impersonalists, although after so many austerities, so much study of scriptures, ultimately, even though they may reach a highly elevated platform, still they have to come down. Hariyo Kritchena, Param Padam, that even though after so many severe austerities, because they do not have the shelter of Krishna or Lord Vishnu or Lord Narayana, it is very clearly described in the Shastra. For example, in chapter 10, text number 8 of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who knows this perfectly engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. And if we look in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is giving so many different quotations from the Atharva Veda, from various Vedic scriptures about the position of Narayana and Krishna. Prabhupada explains all Vedic literature agrees that Krishna is the source of Brahma, Shiva, and all other demigods. In the Atharva Veda, it is said, Yo Brahmanam Vedadati Purvam, Yo Vedam Stagapayati Sma Krishna. It was Krishna who in the beginning instructed Brahma in Vedic knowledge and who disseminated Vedic knowledge in the past. Then again it is said, Ata Purusho Abe Narayano Kamayata Prajaha Srijeya iti upakramya. Then the Supreme Personality, Narayana, desired to create living entities. And Srila Prabhupada goes on with numerous other quotations explaining that Lord Narayana, Krishna, is the origin of all these different demigods. But why do people worship the demigods? For sense gratification. Because it is described in the Vedas. If you worship, for example, Indra, you get certain powers, you get Lakshmi, you will get wealth. You worship Uma for unmarried ladies, you can get a good husband. There's so many different descriptions. For example, in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there's elaborate description that so many different demigods, you worship this demigod, you get that result. You worship that demigod, you get this result. Because people are attracted to sense gratification. They're very attached to this worship of demigods. But they forget, if you worship Krishna, you can get all that. The example is given in the 5th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Yatataro mula nichanena, that if you pour water on the root of a tree, then naturally all the leaves, the branches, the twigs, the flower, everything will come out. It is not that you have to go water each and individual branch and leaf. It doesn't work that way. That is the improper way. Another way is called avidi purvakam. In 1976, when we had the opening of the Radha Madan temple in ISKCON, Hyderabad, Prabhupada told us we could invite some Brahmins. We invited 12 Brahmanas from the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya under the direction of Sampat Kumar Bhattacharya, who was very favorable to our Prabhupada's movement. And basically what happened, we had very interesting discussion with these Brahmanas about the issue of worship of Krishna and the Mayavadi idea that we're discussing, that all the demigods and Krishna are the same. And one of the biggest pundits there in South India says, the problem with that approach, it's called avidi purvakam. It is not authorized according to Krishna. Krishna explains in the Bhagavad that this kind of demigod worship is allowed in the Vedas for men of lesser intelligence, for materialistic men. But intelligent person, just like the example given in the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam, why bother to pour water on every branch and twig and flower when you can water the root and get the same result? And that is the greatness of what Nārada Muni here is explaining in this text of Srimad Bhagavatam. That you have bothered so much to describe so many Puranas, Mahabharata, so many explanations of the worship of so many personalities. But the problem is when you do that, the mind is disturbed. The mind is confused by the desire for sense gratification. Just like we see in our movement that some persons have been influenced by this Mayavadi philosophy and have introduced various kinds of car pujas, demigod pujas, this special puja, that special puja for money making. We don't need this. Prabhupada did not introduce all this. Simply chant Hare Krishna, and everything will come from there. There was a conversation one time in Africa between a sannyasi who asked Srila Prabhupada, "Oh, Prabhupada, if we're going to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, it's going to require a lot of money because it needs to build temples and farms and book publication and this and that." Prabhupada says, all you have to do is follow these 4 regulative principles and chant Hare Krishna your 16 rounds, and money will fall at your feet. The problem with our movement is people have become too materialistic, looking for all kinds of nonsense ideas, and they deviate from the original standard, from the original instruction of Srila Prabhupada. We see in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 4th canto in one purport, Prabhupada is explained that the International Society for Krishna Consciousness promotes the worship of Krishna to the exclusion of all other demigods. And Prabhupada explains that example, that if one waters the root of the tree, naturally everything flourishes. But if you don't water the root of the tree, then the tree eventually will get in trouble. And this is the point. Simply by worshiping Krishna, everything is accomplished. Everything is accomplished. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, this is nicely summarized by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who explained, Ekalishwar Krishna ar Savabritya, that there's only one master, that is Krishna, and all other living entities are Britya, means servant. And that is the same principle that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given. Gopi Bhartuhu Padakamalayur Dasa Dasa Anudasaha. That I'm simply trying to be the servant of the servant of the servant. This is the philosophy that Prabhupada taught. This is what Prabhupada was trying to say. We had personal experience of a conversation with His Divine Grace where certain difficulties had arisen with a devotee, a prominent devotee in the movement. And Prabhupada said, this attitude of thinking that I am the master, that I should be number one, that is not Vaishnavism. It is not the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then Prabhupada quoted that verse, Gopi Bhartuhu Padakamalayur Dasa Dasa Anudasa. Our whole philosophy is be servant of the servant, not simply trying to dominate, control, and crush everybody else. That is not our philosophy. And that is very important. Devotees have to understand this. That is the root cause of so many problems in this movement. That nonsense mentality of people thinking that, oh, I've got such and such position and such problem, and therefore everything, I should control everything. That is simply nonsense. Prabhupada has given so many instructions. He has predicted so many social events and world events which will take place. We have to remember, just like Vyāsadeva was knower of past, present, and future, Trikalagna, Prabhupada was the same way. He could understand the position of human society at this time because of animal killing, so many different nonsensical philosophies being spread, atheistic philosophies, materialistic philosophies. Prabhupada could see there would be very troubled times in the future, and we're experiencing this. All over the world, there is conflict, there is strife, there is difficulty. And the Krishna consciousness movement, as it is, not concocted, but as it is the real solution to remedy all of these problems individually, communally, in one's family, in one's country, all around the world. Follow the example of Prabhupada, follow his teachings, give instructions, and try to give his original teachings in the form of his original books. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Yashodanandana Prabhu, for that brilliant explanation of this verse. And it further leads us to understand about the current situation in ISKCON, which has been described by many, even within that organization, the Hinduization of that mission. So this Hindu philosophy that people follow is based on the worship of demigods as well as the worship of Krishna. And this is a great misunderstanding by most. I wanted to mention that years ago, one of my friends in Toronto who got initiated, he was Indian, East Indian. I recommended him for initiation to Srila Prabhupada because he was active in coming to the temple and helping us with our service. And I went to his house later to visit on his invitation. And Yashodanandana, I saw on his altar, he had all these demigods on the altar. Now, I tried to explain to him, Prabhu, this isn't necessary. This is actually not the way we practice Chaitanya Vaishnavism in our Sampradaya. Like when we first had our temple in Hamilton, we had two photographs, one of the Panchatattva and one of Srila Prabhupada, Bas, finished. Two pictures. Not all kinds of other deities and objects of worship that come about in the Hindu group. And this Hinduization of the ISKCON movement has been done for obvious reasons, like the expansion of Christianity. Expanded Christianity is not, it's really congregational participation by people that work to collect money. And by doing that, they built one of the richest organizations in the world. So in the same way, we're seeing that a lot of the ISKCON temples that are being opened by individual corporations separate from the ISKCON group, by individual gurus, they call them Hindu temples. Very interesting. Because the word Hindu is actually a term, Prabhupada explained, given by the Muslims for the followers that went to the Indus River, called them Hindu. We are not Hindus, we are Vaishnavas. Following the principle of Sanatana Dharma, the eternal truth, that we are all servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead without any ism attached to it. This is not an ism. This is an absolute truth. We are all parts and parcels of Krishna. Now, I wanted to refer to the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, text 15. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, text 15. Sarvasya chaham hridi sanivishto. Matakshmitir jnanam apohanam cha. Vedascha sarver aham eva vedyo. Vedanta krid vedavid eva chaham. Translation. So this is the proper understanding of the conclusion of the study of the Vedas. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. That Krishna is the goal of the devotee of the Lord, to know Krishna, not worship the demigods for any kind of material benefits. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Lord is situated as Paramatma in everyone's heart, and it is from him that all activities are initiated. The living entity forgets everything of his past life, and he has to act according to the directions of the Supreme Lord, who is witness to all his work. Therefore, he begins his work according to his past deeds. Required knowledge is supplied to him, and remembrance is given to him, and he forgets also about his past life. Thus, the Lord is not only all-pervading, he is also localized in every individual heart. He awards the different fruit of results. He is not only worshipable as the impersonal Brahman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the localized Paramatma, but as the form of the incarnation of Godhead, as the form of incarnation of the Vedas as well. The Vedas give the right direction to the people so they can properly mold their lives and come back to Godhead, back to home. The Vedas offer knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And Krishna in his incarnation as Vyāsadeva is the compiler of the Vedanta Sutra. The commentation on the Vedanta Sutra by Vyāsadeva in the Srimad Bhagavatam gives the real understanding of Vedanta Sutra. The Supreme Lord is so full that for the deliverance of the conditioned soul, he is the supplier and digester of foodstuff, the witness of his activity, the giver of knowledge in the form of the Vedas, and as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, the teacher of the Bhagavad Gita, he is worshipable by the conditioned soul. Thus, God is all good, God is all merciful. So this gives us specific direction on how we should practice Krishna consciousness as a focused disciple of Srila Prabhupada and of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And every day we do chant one mantra. Let there be one mantra. Prabhupada said, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Let there be one Bhagavad Gita as it is, unedited and unadulterated by nefarious people, because all gurus are not equal. They're not, especially fake imitating gurus that pretend to be on the Uttama Adhikari platform. This is not proper. This is a deviation. This is a mad elephant offense. And let there be one Supreme Personality of Godhead that we worship, Lord Sri Krishna. Also in his form as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in this wonderful opportunity that all of us have to be a part of the Sankirtan mission that Srila Prabhupada initiated for us as the bona fide representative of the Supreme Lord. Yashodanandana Prabhu, please.
We're dealing with some very important issues here, as you've cited there. And the point is, this desire for sense gratification in the material world is the disease. It's a very strong disease.
Mm-hmm.
So people in general are not attracted. They're very much attracted to the Mayavadi philosophy because it keeps continuing their disease. It doesn't cure the disease. Srila Prabhupada, when he was in Chandigarh in 1976 in October, there was one conversation with journalists where they would ask, well, what about social service? What social service are you doing? What actual service in the form of hospitals and schools and this and that? Prabhupada said, we're doing the best service because we're telling them, we're preaching to people how to solve all the problems in the material world. The problem is that people think they are the body. That is the root cause of all problems, of all diseases, of all situations, of all wars, all strife, all discord is all due to this misunderstanding of people thinking, I am this body and this is my property, this is my land, my country, my this, my that. You are an eternal spirit soul. And Prabhupada said, there are so many persons who are opening hospitals, schools, feeding places, but people are still getting sick. People are still getting hungry. It says, we are preaching how you can solve all these problems by going back to Krishna and no more suffering. But of course, some people have great difficulty understanding that. That's why in the Bhagavad Gita, it's very significant when we look how Krishna begins his teachings to Arjuna in chapter 2, text 13. Krishna explains, Dhiras tatra namuhyati. After he explains how one changes the body, dehinosmin yata dehi kaumaram yovanam jara, tata dehantara praptir. Dhiras tatra namoyat, unless someone is a dhira or self-controlled, he will not understand this. That's why in the Bhagavad Gita itself, we see that Krishna in another place in the Bhagavad described that some persons are bewildered by trying to understand the position of the soul. But unless one understands the position of the soul, then he will not understand Krishna. He will think all these demigods and Krishna, it's all the same, because of that misconception based on bodily identification, which leads to worship of demigods to keep pursuing more sense gratification. They do not understand properly the philosophy given by Lord Krishna. And that is what Prabhupada is teaching. Hare Krishna.
Yes, and further to your statement, which was very insightful, it is very difficult, everyone, to overcome bodily consciousness. It is not an easy thing. And that's why Prabhupada insisted that we chant minimum 16 rounds every day as the first cure to this disease that I am this body, I am this nationality, I am all these mundane designations, which people carry very close to them as their identity. That false identity that I'm an American, like nationalism, this nationalistic spirit that pervades everything. It's pathetic. Somehow or other, in the sports world, what they do is before the game starts, whether it's a hockey game or a soccer game or a football game, they play the national anthem. What's that got to do with the sports? Nothing. Oh, we stand on guard for you. Oh, America, this and that, the land of the free, the home of the brave. You cowards. You're all cowards. You kill animals, billions of them every day, in the name of the land of the free, the home of the brave. You fight illegal wars. For what reason? For economic prosperity. This is a demoniac world we live in, Prabhus. Very, very Kali Yuga. And it is getting worse by the minute. And people are wondering, why are you this way? Why do you speak with such focus? Because unless you get the cure, which is the Krishna conscious philosophy that Prabhupada gave us, you'll live in material consciousness and you'll die and take birth again in another species, probably in the lower regions of the universe. Is that serious, Krishna Gata? Is it? How serious is it? Well,
Yes.
for all of us, it's the most serious thing. For one who is born, death is certain. For one who has died, birth is certain. And what species will you go to if you have all of this confusion in your consciousness, bodily consciousness? It's not easy to overcome this. Very difficult. We all know. You can practice on and on and on and on for years and years and still suffer with this disease. But if one tries sincerely to overcome it, then by the grace of Guru, Prabhupada, and by the grace of Krishna, one can gradually rise up off the bodily platform and realize one thing: we are the spirit soul. Yashoda, yes, please, Prabhu.
A very brief comment. There's a recent lecture that Prabhupada was speaking that in this life, one may be a very big businessman and erect a 24-story building, a 100-story building. But if in the next life he becomes a cockroach in the building, what will be the accomplishment? And this is the point. Yes. Ignorance is the root cause of all the problems. They think, oh, you want to live one life. Well, I got news for you. You're just beginning your life. Your real life is in the spiritual world with Krishna, not here as a cat, dog, or a human being. No, you want to get liberated from this suffering in this world. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, for one who is born, death is certain. For one who has died, birth is certain. Now the question, Vijaya Pandit, is, what species of life will you be born into? Everyone automatically concludes in many levels, oh, I'll just be born as a human. Ah, not so quick. And it's frightening to see what type of birth you could take. I was in Mexico recently and staying at my friend Paul's retreat center, Casa Goloka. And I went out to the garbage, the recycling bin there. And I looked in, I was putting some refuge in there, and I saw all these small little, what is it that comes in the garbage? What are those little
maggots?
Worms, rain worms.
Yeah.
They usually put rainworms.
Yeah, things like that. I thought, oh my God, can you imagine being born as a maggot or a ringworm and living in the garbage that people throw out? Would you like that? But that's the fate of the conditioned souls that are on the bodily consciousness level of existence, and they eat anything. They eat anything. It's called malecha, dog eaters. They eat anything. So is our mission to feed people or to give them spiritual insight and how to get out of this repeated cycle of birth and death? That is real compassion. That is Krishna consciousness. That is the mission of the members of the Prabhupada Disciples Association. I wanted to ask Krishna Kata in San Diego. Maybe you could share a few insights.
Well, Prabhu, thank you for calling on me. This amazing discussion and realizations from you and Yashoda from Prabhupada's purports and these verses spoken by Vyāsadeva are genuinely the way forward for all bhaktas aspiring bhaktas to be introduced to Srila Prabhupada genuinely, which leads me to my realization of this verse is the direct result of not watering the root. We get concoction and deviation. The minimization of Srila Prabhupada in our movement is the root cause, because by watering and worshiping the root of ISKCON, which is Prabhupada, Prabhupada is ISKCON. ISKCON's a perfect entity, but when you neglect the worship, when you neglect the admiration and the instructions of reading his books, chanting 16 or more rounds, following the disciplinary process of the 4 regulative principles, that neglect is a direct result of the deviations. And so this verse can easily be seen as relevant to this time and place and circumstance that's happening in Srila Prabhupada's movement right now. These leaders are neglecting to water the root. Isn't it so, Bhakta Jad? You see this, don't you? And so how fortunate are we to be in this class right now live and being able to watch it as many times as possible on YouTube? This is Prabhupada's pleasure. He is pleased by his sincere disciples that are preaching the mission of Lord Chaitanya. And it's not in his absence. He is 100% here with us right now, right? So the worship of the demigods, that is this Hindu tradition that we see all over the world. We aren't in any way criticizing this, but it is a lesser intelligent behavior, clearly stated by Krishna himself and nicely elaborated on by Srila Prabhupada. So you're right. We see the Hinduization of Prabhupada's temples. It's a direct result of neglect of the supreme guru for this age, the only guru. And it's one of the 10 offenses of the chanting of the holy name. So our protection, right? Our protection is the 16 rounds are so important to chant them with love, right? Priti. Prabhupada makes a very nice, simple instruction when he's asked, how do we chant? He said, you chant with love, right? You're asking to be engaged in devotional service. And that asking isn't a kind of a stoic, mundane, or not mundane, but just kind of a flat stoic asking. It's an asking in the mood of love. That's how we chant, and that's the supreme protection of devotees. Look at Prahlad. That's his mood. Right? Haridas Thakur. All these devotees that chanted nicely with love, supremely protected. And so much is going on in this material world, so many aborted human babies and the billions of animals being killed every day, like you nicely pointed out, Vishwakarma. My mother asks, how come all these wars and these fires and these typhoons and these hurricanes and so much suffering? I said, because of the sinful activity of man around the world, globally. The sinful activity doesn't create paradise, doesn't create a Vaikuntha planet for sure. It creates a hellish planet, all the sin. So today's class will resonate nicely all the way to the core of our heart, to the soul that we are. And all of us that hear this class moving forward and subsequent classes are getting exactly what Prabhupada wants us to give out, the truth. This is the absolute truth. And the Bhagavatams that we will print hopefully very soon, we're still vetting the printer.
Okay, his
think we got
internet has crashed.
The sound has got messed up.
Okay.
What,
We'll keep moving forward here. Dr. Jad in France, maybe you could share some insights today. You're listening intently.
Just waiting for Krishna Kata to rectify, but
Yeah.
I want to thank
Collectively,
you.
we have a collective desire.
Krishna Gata, your internet
Audio.
is collapsed. Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Bhakta Jad.
Yes, so thank you very much for this very nice class about demigod worship. And Vishwakarma Prabhu, you mentioned the false ego. It's enormous. Like 2 days ago, I was distributing books in the street, and I approached someone to sell him a Bhagavad Gita. And he said, "No, I'm not interested." And I saw he was Arabic, so I said, "Oh, I am Lebanese." And he said, "Oh, I'm Lebanese too. Just for this, I will give you 10 euros." And he took a Bhagavad Gita. And I was like, did Krishna use his false identification so he's being purified? So it's very crazy how much people are attached to this false designation that they forget whenever they sleep, you know. Prabhupada he
Yes.
says the daydream and the night dream. Like when I see a big heavy guy, I just imagine when he's sleeping, he imagined he's a little princess, you know. So all this designation comes from the crazy mind. And so that's the little things that came in my mind. And without Prabhupada books, people, they are doomed.
Yes.
Vishwakarma Prabhu, I like when you preach heavily like this, like life is suffering, life is miserable. We do not know devotees, they will be saved. But most people if they don't get in touch with this Krishna consciousness movement, with Prashadam, with the holy name, with the original book of Prabhupada, they are guaranteed to get a lower life in the next life. So it is very serious thing. So Prabhupada says there is no more direct way of preaching than distributing the book. So by printing these Bhagavatam volumes, this is the best service we can do to people in this life and in all their next life. Because getting a Prabhupada books is eternal benefit for everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you
Trebo,
very
Trebo.
much, Trebo. I wanted to say further, everyone, that we are planning to take a new role with our organization, with our association, which will be to take up the process of printing the original books of Srila Prabhupada step by step. And the first step is the Delhi Bhagavatams. I just found Yashodanandana Prabhu in my library, The Teachings of Lord Kapiladev. Perfect edition. And other members of our organization have some of these original books, like Nectar of Devotion, TLC, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Easy Journey to Other Planets, Sri Ishupanishad. So many books are available for us to print that even pre-65 versions. And we're in a position to, as we continue to collect funds for these, print them and just send them out to various people throughout the world, like yourself, Bhakta Jad, who's doing it, and other devotees in Hawaii and United States and in Italy with Vijaya Pandit. And we also want to publish these books in different languages. For example, Krishna Kishore is in Mexico and he's bought a printing press and he is distributing the books in Spanish. So it's very important. It's quite a complicated job that we're undertaking, but step by step, we're moving forward with it. I'd like to ask Bhakta Ron Singh in Sacramento, yes. And he's opening up a new center as well just say a few words to the group while we still have a little time. Bhaktaran Singh.
Yes, I'm working with the city IMCA building, which has been servicing the area for more than 100 years. So the location is downtown Oroville. It's right next to the Feather River, and it's a wonderful location. And it's a smaller town right next to Chico and Yuba City. Chico is one of the famous universities. It's about 25 minutes away. And then there's Yuba City, lots of Punjabi Indians. And so, it's going on in the background. We want to make sure everything is properly done with the county and the city. And the facility is very nice. So it has a kitchen, it has a gathering area, showers. So it's nicely situated, it's a nice area. So it takes some time to do things right. Prabhupada wanted everything to be done properly. So we're taking adequate steps to make everything nicely done. So thank you very much for the classes and the books. For people who are still on the fence, kindly donate to the Srimad Bhagavatam GoFundMe campaign. A lot of devotees have given. The more the better, because we have other plans as well, like Vishwakarma Prabhu has said, the original books like Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Nectar of Devotion. All these need to be done. And it's our responsibility as followers and aspirants to make sure that everyone who's interested gets a chance to practice Krishna consciousness. So if we do our part at our local facility or local level, like that's devotee who was distributing books, it will make a huge difference on the global level. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. And like I said, we're going to keep developing our programs moving forward. And anyone in this group that wants to participate in it, let us know. So if you want to, like Yashodanandana Prabhu, you'll recall back in Hamilton in 1971, and I have the record, it's at the other side of my desk here, so it won't get up, but I have a Radha Krishna Temple album that someone gave me recorded by Apple, and inside are the list of all the temples that Prabhupada wanted listed. And it says 20 Charlton Avenue West in Hamilton. Now, this place only existed for 6 months, and then it was shut down, and all of us, the large number of Prabhupada disciples that came from Hamilton moved to Toronto and helped build that center for Srila Prabhupada. But the point is this, that we want to include people's names or addresses or contact information in our newsletter and on our credits in our show, and also on our letterhead. So let us know if you're interested in having your name or your location put up in our promotion of the expansion of this mission as a group. Because a lot of people, Bhakta Jad, think, well, what's the alternative if there's no ISKCON? Well, how about this? The Hare Krishna Society Prabhupada Disciples Association. That is the alternative. And we are working together. Sure, there are lots of individuals doing things, fair enough. There are lots of sincere Prabhupada disciples, but they work on their own. I was mentioning to Krishna Katha, they're like the Lone Ranger. Hey, I'm out here, I'm going to save everybody. Well, when you build a team, then you've got an opportunity to do something very potent with the cooperation of everyone, not being on your own. Everybody's so damaged by the ISKCON world. And your participation, when you mention anything to them about organizing or getting to, oh, no, thank you very much. No. I'm just going to stay on my own and chant my rounds. Okay, well, that's better than not. I'm just going to read Prabhupada's books. Oh, yeah, okay, that's a good thing. But what about working together cooperatively, like Prabhupada said. And in this way, you'll demonstrate your love for me. You see, when you chant, Prabhupada was mentioning, and Krishna Katha was mentioning about love. Well, love in the material world is the love between the mother and the son or the daughter. That's the pure example of love. And what is it based on? It's based on service. So real love in Krishna consciousness means you become the servant of the spiritual master. And in this way, you can become great as a devotee. Simply, cooperatively serve together. And this mission that we have will be a total success, as Krishna Katha always tells me, in the near future. So thank you, everyone. I am Lone Ranger, but can't save even myself. Very interesting. Mario Panada. Well, we work together, we pray together, we serve together, and this way we save each other together. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Let's move forward with the chanting of Hare Krishna, with Prabhupada playing the bongo drum. He didn't even have a mridanga. Enjoy the chanting and enjoy the week in your service to the spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Merci beaucoup, Bhaktajad, pour tes commentaires. Just telling Bhaktajad, thanking him very much for his commentary. Vijay Pandit. Here in Italy, it is not easy. They have all been diverted. Where's the comment here? Here in Italy, where is it? It is not easy. They have all been diverted by these fake gurus, and subsequently the Gaudiya Math has done the rest here. Yes, it is the same phenomena in Mexico and many other places. Many people are looking for cheap disciples, cheap followers, and misrepresenting Prabhupada's instruction. But as Vishwakarma Prabhu said, our job here, our task, is simply to present Prabhupada's teachings in their pure and original form, get some books published, and to represent His divine grace as purely as we can. Hare Krishna, all glories to His divine grace, Srila Prabhupada. He lives forever by His divine instructions, and the follower lives with Him. Hare Krishna.